sharing. I'm going live right now with you guys. Um, but again, I want to thank all of you for taking a time out and humbling yourselves to say that you need to
Sharing. Going live right now.
that you need more and that you want more. And we have to listen to the Most High because you didn't have to do that. You and I didn't have to do it, but you did. You're here because Yah wants to continue to teach us. That's why we're here. We're not here for any other reason. You've made a commitment and you're sticking by it. Get myself off the screen. Get right into our teaching. Run a little bit behind today. All right. The name of our Torah portion this week, everyone, is called Amor. I know it's spelled Emor, but it's really called Emor. Okay. And the Emor in Hebrew means to say. That's what it means, to say. So the beginning of our Torah portion, the Most High spoke to Moshe and he told him, he made it very clear that I want you to amor, meaning speak and say to the HaKohanim. I want you to talk to the priest. I want you to talk to Aaron's sons. I want you to say to them the things that I'm about to tell you. Now, keep in mind, the tabernacle has been put up. Everyone has been inaugurated into the service. You know, they've already received the 10 words. They've been commanded about, things like life and death and childbirth and what would be, what the Most High requires of them. And so he continues to talk to them and he continues to say things to them. And right now, the only thing that you and I have is Amor. That's all we can hold on to. All we can hold on is to what the Creator has said. He's not asking you and I to hold on to a belief system. He's not asking us to hold on to tradition. He's not asking us to hold on to family customs. He's asking us to hold on to what he has said. One of the things that he told us is that when you're in exile, you're going to start thinking about everything that's happened to you. And you're going to remember, right? It's going to come to your mind about these things that he's been saying. And he said, and you're going to return and you're going to listen to everything that Yahweh has said. I don't have a slide for it. We don't need 1,000 slides. We are going to return to what he has said. It didn't say that you and I are going to be able to do everything that he said. He said you're going to return to what he has said. So that is what is in question. What did he say? This is what you and I need to hold on to. We don't need to hold on to any religious beliefs. The Hebrew spelling of this word is what you see right here on the screen, consisting of 3 letters, an aleph, a mem, and a resh. And I'm going to go over each one of these letters. I do often. I talk about the Hebrew language. Because if you and I really want to understand what he said, we need to go back and look exactly what did he say? What did he say? So a wise person would want to know, what did he say? And not only what did he say, but how? did he say it? And then we look at why he said it. So we can get an understanding about what he's looking for from you and I. And that can be found in the language. I don't care what nobody else is talking about, because I read this language and I understand. I'm not boasting. I'm telling you right now. Okay. It's not because I can read it and I can know what the letters are and all that's where I'm at. I'm understanding what he has said and how he has said it. I'm going to show you some verses today that in English is written in a way that makes you think a certain way and moves you to a certain way versus what he has said. You and I are not to change not one word about what he said. We're not to change one letter. We're not to add any different punctuations to it. We're not to add any different types of moods or tenses to what he said. If he calls it a command, it's a command. It's not a recommendation. It's not a suggestion. And we have to keep everything in its proper context, meaning that whatever environment it was in, whoever the people are, what culture was it said in, what time was it said, what was it, the author's intent of saying it. We have to look at all of that, you see, because that's who we are. We're these people. The first letter of the word to say or said from the word Amar, okay, is the letter Aleph. And Aleph represents an ox. You can easily remember this by looking at right across from the word ox. There you have the Aleph. And the Aleph right here looks like an ox head. Okay, these are the horns right here on the ox. Okay, you can look at the letter X. Kind of looks like this letter over here. Very similar. Okay. So just remember that it represents strength. It talks about an ox. So why would the Most High use this as the first letter of the word to say? He's using it because it has a very strong meaning. It's very strong. Okay. And I'm going to show you the strength of it. The strength is found even in the word for Aleph, or the letters of it, meaning, Aleph. Aleph in Hebrew means 1,000. So it's just not one sheep, it can actually mean 1,000, an abundance of strength and power. Okay. It's huge. Just like the Most High said that he shows love and compassion to the 1,000th generation that loves him and keeps his commandments. Okay. This is the first letter of our word called Father. In Hebrew, it would be an Aleph and it would be a Bet, the AB. Okay, like the ABCs. This word right here is Father. It is the first word that's used in the Hebrew language. It's the first word that's ever made. It's Father. Okay, so the Most High is using this letter to represent strength and power. Okay, an ox is known by its strength and its power about what kind of load the ox can carry on a yoke. Okay. So the first letter in the word yoke in Hebrew is this letter right here. And if I wanted to make it a yoke, I would put a shepherd's staff on this to make it all, or you would know it as El. Okay. Like Elohim. That's the reason why it's the first letter in Elohim. It's because it represents strength and power of the yoke. Okay. So why is there a yoke on the neck of the ox? Or is the ox, or does the ox have the ability to roam in the field on its own? Or is it being controlled? It's being controlled. It's being tamed. Okay. Is being coached. You understand? So this is the first letter of our word to mean to say. ultimately, the letter represents learn. Just like an ox has to learn how to walk or learn from the older ox, learn what path to take, learn how to move when it's supposed to, learn how to carry the load, understand the work that needs to be done. So when Yah's talking to us and he's using the word amor or the first letter aleph in the word amor, meaning to say, that means to learn. So when Yah's speaking to his people and he tells Moshe, Vaidober Yahweh to El Moshe, meaning Yahweh has said to Moshe, saying, speak or say to the children of Israel. He's talking to them and the priest in order to instruct them so they can learn something because he's going to train them. Case in point, the reason why you and I are on class and the reason why we're reading the Torah, the reason why we're studying the Hebrew language is because we're here to learn about what has the Most High said. Because this is what you and I are to return to. Not a belief system, not a tradition. The next letter of our word amar, okay, which means for our Hebrew emer, is this letter meme right here. That's right next to my aleph that I put on there. That's the first two letters of to speak. So now we're dealing with the second letter, which is this letter right here called a mem. Okay. This letter right here represents water. So one is dealing with an ox. This one is dealing with water. Why the water? Why does the Most High choose to use this word or this in particular letter to be included on the word say? Because water does a couple of things. Number one, it has movement. And when people have to go get it, they go to it or they come away from it. You see? So the Most High is letting us know that our learning and our movement is going to come from what he has said. Listen to me carefully. Okay? The next letter that we're going to be dealing with would be a resh, but I'm going to just write it on the board so I can bring you back to the word amar or amor from our Torah portion. Okay? Now, before we get into that letter R or resh, okay, I want to deal with these first two letters because these two letters mean something. It means to learn from. Remember, the first letter right here is learn or yoke, and the next one is from. Okay? In Hebrew, listen carefully. These two letters means mother. It's called an aim. It's mother in Hebrew. The word for mother in Hebrew is called aim. Like take an aim, okay? So your mother is called an aim. Put those little three dots right there. It gives you that M, okay, or aim. Aim is for mother. Aim. So when you come from your mother, right? You come from the water of your mother. You understand? That's what you're coming from. It's an amazing. Do you not know that your mother is the first one to teach you everything? The mother is what you would call the water or the strong water of the family. What's the strong water? The strong is in the aleph right here from the ox. The mem right here is the water, is strong water. In Hebrew, strong water is water that's sticky. It's a substance. It's coming from the glue. So what they would do is they would take the animal skins and they would boil it and get the enzymes and everything out of the skin, and the water that was left, it would be like glue. It'd be a sticky substance. And then they would use that to glue things together. Okay. The mother is the glue of the family. She's the strength of the water. Do you understand? That's what I was telling you, Kobe and Yehuda, that your mother is the glue. She's who holds everything together. And she's going to be the first teacher to tell you everything. She's going to teach you how to speak. She's going to teach you the first word in the Hebrew alphabet, which is Av or Abba. She's the first one who's going to tell you what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. That's who this woman is. So when we look at our Torah portion this week, we're going to find that the Most High tells these people, the Kohanim, who they can marry and who they cannot marry. Who they can be around and who they can't be around. But our words and our conversation and our way that we move in our life is from our mothers. Our fathers are the strength of the house. Here it is. He's an Aleph. He's strong too. She's strong too. She's just in a different way. He's the strength of the house, which is the tent. That's what this letter right here means. The tent, the family, the house. He's the strength of the house. You remove the father from the house and then you take the Aleph out of there, then he's gone. Then the strength of the tent falls down. And it's going to be harder for the mother to keep the family together. She's supposed to keep everybody together. What a job. All praises be given to the mothers. Hallelujah. The next letter in our word Amar is the final letter, which is the Resh. In Hebrew, Resh is the name of the letter. It just look like an English letter. R just is turned backwards. So if you look at the English letter, it's turned this way. Like that, an R. Okay, very similar. Hebrew is this way. It's just the opposite. Okay. So the name of that letter is called a Resh. That's the name of it. And Resh means the head. Okay? Because if you look at this and we were to draw this out, this would be the forehead of a man. Come here, here's his nose. Come down, here's his mouth, and there he is. That's the head of a man. That's what it looks like in Hebrew. Okay? So the man is the head, the Resh. Okay? The top, the pinnacle. And so why would the Most High use this? Because the head is the first thing. It's first. It's the first thing you see. It's the first thing that comes out of the woman. It's the first thing that comes out of the womb. It's the first. The Most High is concerned with the first. He's concerned with the firstborn. He's concerned with that which popped up out of the ground, the first fruits. He wants that. You understand? So the mother is the one who teaches. She's the one who's speaking. She's the one who's encouraging. She's the one who's guiding the child. That's why it's important for these men, these priests, that they find the right woman. And they're only allowed to marry a certain classification of a woman. Okay? Now, when dealing with Yah, the creator of the heavens and the earth, we need to be clear. Okay, that Yah has said, I've never spoke to you in any secret. There's no secret. There's no secret sauce. There's no secret way. There's no mystery. There's nothing that doesn't supposed to be revealed. Yah's not disguising anything. He's telling us exactly what he has said. So he's not asking us to go and try to hunt and find. He said, look, I didn't speak in secret in a land of darkness. He didn't. What reference or why is he saying this? Because Most High never speaks in darkness. He only speaks in light. The first thing he said is, let there be light, and there was light. You understand? He changed the darkness to light in order for him to be able to speak everything into existence. So he doesn't speak in secret. He doesn't speak in parables. He doesn't speak in mysteries like you have in the New Testament. He talks to us plain. Plain. This is what I said. So when it happens, you'll know that he's the one who said it. He said, I did not say to the descendants of Yaakov, it is in vain that you will seek me. Here is what you will call a mistranslation from a grammatical standpoint. Because it says, I never said to the descendants of Yaakov, it is in vain that you will seek me, that you will seek me. The Most High never said this. I left it here because I want to make a point. He didn't say it is in vain that you will seek me. They changed the conjugation, okay? They made it into a phrase that he never said. He made it actually into a command. So this whole point where in vain that you will seek me, there is no you will seek me. There is no you. There is not that. It's seek me. That is an imperative. You understand? So the verb tenses were changed in English. So you would think that you will seek him, like you have an option. Maybe, maybe not. No, there is a command to seek him. We didn't know that. So he's not talking to us in darkness. He's not talking to us in secret. He's telling us what he expects from us. And he's made it clear. I, Yahweh, speak righteousness. So everything you and I read in our Torah portion is righteousness. I say what is upright. I changed that. They had their true. That's what they had. They had speak justice. It's righteousness. Making it clear to us what the Most High is telling us. The purpose of us getting the command is so that you and I would be able to understand what righteousness is and what is uprightness. And we can only know that by Yah's words. You and I cannot make up what's right, and we cannot make up what is righteous. You understand? So we have to understand the command. The command is seek me. Seek me. That's what the command is. Seek me. Why are you asking us to seek you, Yahweh? Because it's a command. Seek me. Does he have to explain to us why he's telling us to seek him? No, seek me. And he's talking to all of us. He's not talking to one of us. He's talking to the descendants of Zerakah of Yaakov. This is a command that's given to us. This slide right here is in the wrong location. I believe I'm supposed to have placed this somewhere else. But obviously it didn't happen that way. But I'm going to tell you what it means. Yah has given us the Haftarah. This comes out of our Haftarah. Okay. And the purpose of the priest was to do a few things. So it kind of sets us the tone, like, why is Yah talking to the priest and he's not talking to Israel in that in particular context? He's talking to the priest because he wants them to teach his people so they'll know the difference between kadosh, which is holy, or kol, which is common, and enable them to distinguish, which is bane, between clean and unclean, which they're missing another part of that sentence in Hebrew that's there that they didn't put there in English. Okay. So I have everything in bold that, they're supposed to do. So they're supposed to teach, they're supposed to make a difference, and they're supposed to judge, make decisions according to Yah's rulings. They're dealing with Yah's Moadai, which is his set apart festivals. They're not just designated festivals, they're his designated festivals. They're his commandments. They're his rulings. They're his Shabbats. Okay. Now, I might come back to this slide, okay? But right now, I just wanted to give us a what you would say a foundational understanding of what the priests are supposed to do and why he's talking directly to them. Okay? So from this, you and I should understand it is not our job, if you're not a Levine, which is a Kohanim, to teach Yah's people anything about holy or unholy. I say it all the time. I get into many discussions and arguments with people all the time because they are kind of they keep trying to tell me, okay, that they have a right to declare what is holy and what is not because they read it and they say that this is what it is. You guys, the set apartness of Yah Kodesh is only been given to one family. Okay, they're the only family that has the right to do this. I'm not teaching you the difference between Kadosh and Kol. I'm not teaching this. I'm teaching what the words mean. I'm teaching you what the word Bain means. I'm teaching you what Yada means. You understand? I'm teaching you about when he says this grammatically, what that means. I'm not making any judgments. I'm not making any rulings. I'm not making any designations. I'm not doing any of that. And anybody that's saying that they're doing this is a liar. They're an enemy of the Most High Yah. Okay. And I'll prove that to you. Okay. So I'm not teaching you how to be Kadosh. I can't. I haven't been authorized. I'm not licensed to do that. Just like if someone is a doctor, they have a license. Someone's a professor, a teacher, they have a license. They have a degree. They've earned it. They know the protocols. They know what to do. They know what not to do. They understand it. You understand? You have to be licensed to do this. And the license has to be made known by Yah, like he did with Korach and said, hey, I'm going to show you who's licensed and who's not. Because he's going to make a difference between which is Kadosh or holy and Kol, which is common, and clean and unclean. So this Torah portion is about how these priests are to make sure, because they're going to be the teachers of the people, they're going to have to know the difference. They're going to have to be set apart. They're going to have to distinguish between family members. They're going to have to distinguish about what the Most High said. They're going to have to make sure that they maintain a sense of cleanness and purity around the Most High because they're the ones who are dealing with him. They're the ones who are dealing with the designated times, which you would call the festivals, the Moadai, Yahweh's festivals, his times when he wants to be met. Okay. So they're the ones. We didn't know this. The opening line to your Torah portion was to speak or to say to the Kohanim. They're the foundation of the whole entire nation of Israel. They are the sons of Aaron only. They're the only ones that Yahweh is dealing with. He's not dealing with nobody else. You understand? His descendants. And as you know, he went and talked about uncleanness and death and relatives and who it is that you can be around when someone dies in your family. They have to be close relatives. If it's your sister, she's a virgin. She still has to be a virgin. She can't have been with a man. She cannot have been penetrated by a man. She has to be untouched. You understand? Just for the Kohanim, Aaron's sons. Okay? We found that there was an idea that the Most High mentioned in our Haftarah about holiness and impurity. Right? He says, before going out to the people in the outer courtyard, which he's describing what is going to be like, okay, in the temple to come, that they are to remove the clothes in which they minister. Talking about the priests, the Kohanim, they're going to take off the clothes that they did their duties in, and they're going to put them in holy rooms or kadosh rooms, and they're going to put on other clothes so that they won't transmit holiness or kodashim or sacredness to the people by the means of their clothing. Why is this mentioned? Because it's beyond comprehension. Holiness can be transmitted from their clothes to somebody just by them touching it. Okay? Impurity can be transmitted by someone touching something. So, what does this mean for us? You and I are in a place that we're, trying to sometime maintain some type of set apartness. Our set apartness is different than what we're talking about in our Torah portion. It is different. The holiness of Yah and the way that he's asking of the Kohanim is different than what was asked of us and where we are. Okay. But when I say beyond comprehension, I'm talking about this. I can't even describe it. It's indescribable. Okay. There's a huge difference between Yah's holiness and what man would call holy. What Yah considers to be pure versus what man considers to be pure. When someone says that they're holy, and if it was according to what is written by the Most High, that holiness that is given and transmitted to the person that he gave it to can be transmitted to someone else if they touch them, if they touch their clothes. Now, you got to ask yourself the question. Going back to the New Testament, in Christ's day, how many people touched him? They give us an example. A woman who had an issue of blood for 12 years touched him. And he said something left from him, went out. So I guess if it's true, if he was holy, then that holiness of the Most High, God transmitted to that woman. You hear nothing about him questioning that. How many people touched him? A lot of people. How many people did he touch? He touched a lot of people. And the moment that he touched him, if this is true, then everybody that he touched became holy. According to what we understand about Yah's transmission of holiness. Everybody that touched him, listen to me, everybody that touched him, if they were unclean, they had an ascensional emission, or they had a menstrual cycle, or the woman who had the 12 years of issue of blood, she was unclean. She touched him. He'd be supposed to become unclean. You understand? So holiness can be transmitted, impurity can be transmitted. And this is beyond human comprehension because it's different. It's out of this world. We don't understand it because the Most High is not from planet Earth. You understand? You and I are just creatures. That's all we are, that have some intellect, and we have eyes just like a horse. We got a mouth just like a gorilla. We can sing like a bird. I mean, whatever it may be. And I'm not minimizing us. I'm just putting us in a proper perspective. Okay. So the Most High is using these people, the priest, to teach them what they need to do. Okay. If someone claims that they're holy, everyone, today, and they say they have the Holy Spirit, that means, according to their logic, that means that you can touch them and become holy. You should use this and write this down and ask them, are you holy? And then, yeah, I'm holy. That's what Peter said to them. You're a holy people. So what is he describing? He's saying that we're the new priesthood. We're the new way that God is doing things. You know, the separation between God and us has now been taken away by the veil of Christ. Now it's revealed we can all become holy now. Now we have access to holiness like we never had before. This is magical. This is beautiful. Because now we can obtain what only the holy people ever had. And we can do it just by simply believing. So if they believe that, and they go and they sit somewhere, okay, which is a little information for us. Do you not know that you and I can go sit in a restaurant, or go sit in a movie theater, or go sit somewhere in an office, and you don't know who sat in that chair? You don't know if someone who sat in that chair had impurity. You don't know if that person who sat in there was unclean from touching a dead body. We don't know. But what we do know is this. Everywhere that you and I are right now is impure. So we're not going to play a religious game and a mind game with ourselves and try to pretend that we're holy and we're not. We're not going to try to pretend that we're not dealing with impurity when we are. because you and I are touching things. So what does this do? This sets us aside to supposed to Most High is letting us know where you are and where you're not. We're not in Yah's presence. We're not living among Yah. We're living among the nations, and we're living among the impurity of these people. Do you understand? And this is our punishment. This is part of it. You understand? So we have to get a grasp on what the Most High is talking about. Mention to you marriage, right? When you read it this week, these are the three types of people that they could marry: prostitute, someone who's been profane, and divorcee. The prostitute is just straight up. We already know what that is. The profaned, because there is prostitution, but it's not, authorized by daughters of Israel and so forth and so on. It's not male or female prostitute. But also we see the profane. The profane is any woman who has been taken advantage of, that you read in last week's Torah portion, chapter number 18, that talked about those sexual practices. So the priest cannot marry any of those women. They can never marry a woman who's been sent away and divorced. They can never marry those type of women. Okay. And so we see that these are the women that are in our community when they were there, that they can't marry them. So they have to be able to understand who's authorized and who's not. And the reason for this is simply because Yah doesn't want us to profane his name. Okay. And mean his character of him being holy. He's been teaching us this. So the profanation of a woman can also, when you join yourself, you can also profane the name of Yah. Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this profanation as we go on in our study today. But the Most High is saying, if you deal with these individuals, okay, prostitution is a clear symbol of idolatry. It means not being faithful. Okay. The profanation here is this sexual immorality. Okay. It should not be associated with Yah's name. Okay. And the office of the Kohen. The divorcee is like being sent out, like how the Most High sent out his people, right? He sent them in exile. So all these different type of women represent what he doesn't want the children of Israel to be. He actually wants the children of Israel to come to a place where they're going to be set apart for the Most High. They're dedicated to him, right? Also, too, you found this week that, hey, if there's a daughter who is born in a family of a Kohen and she profanes herself by prostitution, right? She's profaning herself, okay? By prostitution, she profanes her father. So what's the connection? Well, the bottom line is the daughter of a priest, like the daughter of all men, belong to their father until they're given into their husbands. So if my daughters went out and they did any of these acts of prostitution and they profaned themselves by this, they would be profaning me, right? Just like, it says that your father's wife is your father's nakedness. My wife is my nakedness. My daughters, right? If they do anything, they're profaning me. They belong to me. They're mine. So there's a consequence for someone who was born in this family, that if you did this and you're a daughter of a Kohen and you profane yourself and you do any of these things right here, then Yah says, I'm going to put them to death by fire. They shall be put to death by fire. This is something a little bit deeper. Okay. It's not a secret. It's the truth. The reason why the Most High is using this death by fire is this is how the Most High purifies. Okay. He has to purify the household because this daughter right here went outside and she profaned herself. The Most High is going to purify the household of the father by taking the daughter and putting fire on her to purify, because they're connected to holiness. They're the family the Most High chose. Everything that Yah receives is done by fire. You understand? Every offering, every meal offering, every grain offering is by fire. Okay. They even pour the wine on top of the fire. Okay. So the Most High is letting us know in holiness, okay, anything that's holy, and if it gets profane, the punishment is going to be death by fire. So if Yah tells the priest, who's a representative of his holiness, that if your daughter does this, What will Yah do to his daughter? This is Yah's mind. So Yah calls Israel his daughter, daughter of Zion, my daughter. Come to me, my daughter. So if Yah is saying that, hey, if your daughter does this, she gonna get this because of the holiness. So Yah is letting us know that when you and I go and profane and prostitute ourselves, like I said, prostitution is indicative of idolatry, you're going to get the fire. That's how you're going to die. You're going to die through fire. Well, what's another example? Another example is when Korach and his other people came with the censers. They died by fire. Fire came down from heaven and killed them. Give me another example. Oh, here's an example with Aaron's sons, Nadav and Abihu. They offer strange fire. That's like prostitution to the Most High. He destroyed them by death by fire. Give me another example. Well, the Most High, we learned last week that says, I'm coming with in a flaming fire to judge all humanity. Give me another example. Eliyahu, when he wanted to find who Elohim is, he called down fire from heaven and burned up everything. The rocks, the offering, the water, everything got burned up. Okay. When the seraphim, which are the fiery ones in the Hashamayim, there's in the heavens with the Most High, saying Kadosh, 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 that is what they would call the glory of Yahweh. The glory of Yahweh fills the whole earth. Well, what's the glory of the Most High? According to Exodus, they saw the glory of Yah, which would look like a consuming, engulfing flame of fire that was on the mountain. Yah is telling us that I'm going to judge anyone who is involved in idolatry and prostitution through this by fire. You're getting it. So the priests, they're not authorized to marry these people. Okay. The Kohanim, or the Kohen Hagadol, excuse me, he's the highest among his brothers. Now, things for him are different. He doesn't get to approach when his mother and father dies. He doesn't get to marry any woman besides a virgin. He can't even marry a widow. He can't even marry, even if the widow's husband was a Kohen, he can't marry her. He can't marry a divorcee or a woman who's been profaned or a prostitute. He has to marry a Batula. Okay. The others, they get to marry a virgin too, but they cannot marry any of these other women. Okay. And it says from among his own people. Now, let me be clear. He's not allowed to marry a woman outside of the family of Levi. He has to marry a virgin within that family. Not his immediate family, not his sons and their daughters and all of that. Talking about his other brothers and cousins and all them through the line. He's not able to marry any woman in the tribe of Israel except for the tribe of Levi. Okay. His own people is talking about the tribe of Levi. He can only marry a virgin from there. And the reason why is because Yah doesn't want the line to get disqualified. Okay. The line and the purification of his line, because he's different. Okay. He cannot allow his seed to have any questions around their birth. That's why he can't marry a divorcee. Did the divorcee go back to her other husband? He can't marry a widow. Was that really his son? He can't marry a woman, a prostitute. Well, she's been with other men. So there can't be any skirmish on the name of that boy or that son when he takes his place as a Kohen Hagadol, because they've been set apart. It's the greatest. He's the highest among his brother. And because he's the highest among his brother, he has to live at the highest level, the highest standard. The highest standard he's living on is because the Most High put a crown on him. Okay? You and I say, well, where's the crown? In the Hebrew, it says crown. The crown that Yah put on him was the anointing oil. So when the Most High anoints him with the anointing oil, he's crowning him. Okay? He has the highest position among everybody. He's so high. He's the highest level. Okay. He's right there where the king is. If anything, he has a higher connection to the king because he's Kadosh just because of his family line. Okay. He's higher. The king doesn't get to write his own Torah. He has to write the Torah according to what the Kohanim tell him to write. The king doesn't get to go in and make the offerings. There was a king who tried to do that, and the Most High put Zazarat on him because he wasn't anointed to go into that place and do that. And he got Zazarat as a punishment for it. Okay. So he's the highest. So why is Yah communicating this to us? Because he says, I'm the one who's making him Kadosh. I'm the one who's doing this for him. Okay. So we got the Kohen name, we got the Kohen Hagadol, which is the high priest. That's what the Kohen Hagadol means. It means the high priest. He's the highest. Okay. So he has to make sure that his line stays pure. So he cannot have anybody who's been, if you look at every last one of these, a woman who's a widow has been penetrated. A divorcee's been penetrated. A woman or a prostitute or profane has been penetrated. A prostitute has been penetrated. The only one who hasn't been penetrated is a virgin. That's the only one who qualifies, someone who hasn't been tampered with or has not been penetrated. Okay. I'm not using sexual language. I'm telling you exactly what it says. Okay. So no woman, okay, who's ever been, has had any experience with anybody else can ever come and be engaged or placed next to or have a relationship with the Kohen Hagadol, except for someone who has never, ever been touched, profane, penetrated, desecrate, nothing, divorced, sent out. Okay, remember the priest. If your sister, she's been with another man, she can't come in. She's disconnected. So in this family that we're talking about, I'm talking about the high Kohen Hagadol, which is the high priest, and I'm talking about his sons. They're operating on a different level. But the Kohen Hagadol, he's the greatest. He's the one who has the crown. Okay. Going to the idea what I talked about, the piercing, the women being pierced. Okay. This is dealing with the sanctity. Okay. So when I mentioned the virgin, she hasn't been pierced. Okay. That means that she has maintained a certain level of sanctity. Okay. There's two words that were used in Hebrew, and I want to explain them to you. One is called kalal, okay, and the other one is called nakav. Okay. This word right here, nakav, means to blaspheme. It means to profane. Okay. It also means to make a whole. Okay. It also means to change your original state. Okay. All of it. This word over here means exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. Okay. So one is used in the sense of blaspheming. Okay. But they're both connected to piercing, making a hole in something. So you're changing it from its original state to something different. Case in point, you got a brand new leather couch. I come over, I got a pin sticking out of my back pocket. I sit down in your couch with some keys and I poke a hole in your couch. I changed the original state now. I have desecrated your couch. We don't look at it like that. We look at it like you just punctured it. No, I desecrated it. Okay. That's what it is. When it talks about making a hole, when a virgin, she has not been penetrated. She has not been changed from her original state. See, that's the deal. Because the same word for nakav is used for the word feminine called nakeva. Okay, so if I wanted to just make this into a woman and I wanted to be a female, which the female is represented by having what they would say the whole, then this would be a nakeva. The whole. Okay, because a woman has a whole. Okay, so the man, the moment that he nakavs or right, he does this and he goes into her, he changes her original state. And he actually profanes the sanctity of her. That's what he does. And this is the reason why, because he's changed her original state. So there's sanctity found in virginity that the Most High says that this is the only one that can ever come close to the holiness of Yah. Okay. And there's other areas too that he talks about sanctity, but he wants us to understand that there's different things that we can do. There's certain people that hold sanctity. There's certain actions that one can take that can change things. And so when we continue to read, one of the last things in our Torah portion was about an individual, a male, right, who did an akav, which means he blasphemed the Most High. And I'm going to talk to you about how he did it, okay? Because it's not always a physical thing in terms of, one's body. The body is used, but it's just in a different way, and I'm going to show that to you, okay? So there are individuals that are going to be completely disqualified. Okay, not only just for the women in terms of who they can marry, but anything and everyone. The Most High says, any of Aaron's descendants, none of your descendants who has a defect may approach to offer the bread of his Elohim. So the Most High is clearly making it known that individuals in Aaron's family, there are some who may have a defect. So they're not perfect. Okay, some of them are going to have a defect. Even though you might be part of this family, you may have a defect. But if you do have that defect, the Most High says, you cannot approach me. None of your descendants who has a defect may approach to offer the bread of his Elohim. The bread of his Elohim is going to the altar to bring the fire or to bring the offering to put on the fire before the Most High. So the Most High is saying that anybody with a defect can't come to me, even in this family. Even if you're not part of this family, you and I can never bring nothing that's defective to the Most High. I have an example right here talking about individuals, even if their eye was leaking, like they had a runny eyes. So if they had what they would call sinuses and their eyes are always leaking, they can't come and serve the Most High in that capacity. And he said if your hand was broken or your foot was broken, you can't come and serve. If you were torn in any kind of way, if your limb was longer than the other, you cannot come. If you have any blemishes or scabs or scars on you, you can't come. So the Most High again is showing us that there are individuals that are going to be disqualified from coming to serve me. And he's not discriminating. It is what it is. Okay. So where does this leave us? The Most High is letting you and I know that you're not going to come to me any kind of way that you want. We're not going to. He even tells us you're not to bring anything with a defect. And he's talking to the children of Israel in this in particular case here. He says, because it won't be accepted from you. So what is he saying? It's not going to be accepted from you. I'm not accepting it. Which brings me to the idea that there are some things that you and I want Yah to accept that he's not going to accept. And it's going to hurt our feelings, but it's the truth. I have an example. I'll use myself. I'm not the Most High, of course, you know that, but I understand what he's talking about. I have a gardener who came out. He did a wonderful job. He's been doing a wonderful job. I decided to hand it over to someone who can do it. And, they got the right tools. I don't have to get myself burned out. I pay a little money every month, twice a month. I get my yard the way I want it. Well, he came out and he cut the yard and all that. And I'm saying, okay, cool. And then he didn't cut the bushes. He didn't trim them. He didn't do it last week, which I expect he didn't do it last week or 2 weeks ago. But this time I was expecting him to do it, and he didn't do it. So I went out and asked him, "Sir, are you gonna, cut the bushes?" Oh, well, yeah, I'm not gonna do it today. I said, "Huh, okay." I said, "Well, okay, well, here's your money. Staying within the line of the Torah. Pay a person the work that they do on the very day that they do it." So I said, "Here's your money," because I pay him every time he does his work. I don't wait until a month or whatever. I pay him the moment he does it. I pay him. I say, "Well, here's your money," and I said, "I don't want your services anymore." And he said, "Oh, okay." And then that was it. So I literally fired him. Okay. And as I'm paying and I'm walking away, he says, "Do you want me to I could cut him. I can cut him today." Right? And I said, "Oh yeah." I said, well, I thought that I've already explained that to you that this is what I expect from you. And it seems like you didn't want, you had another plan. So maybe we're not on the same page. So, but you're saying you can do it? Here's my point. He went out and he cut the bushes, and the bushes look amazing. My yard looks like a golf course. It wasn't until I was willing to fire him that he was willing to give me what I expected. He wanted me to accept what he was willing to give me. Okay. When I thought about that this morning, I thought, are we doing the same thing to the Most High? We're trying to give him what he's not going to accept. You said, well, how is that, Akika? You and I are crossing the line with the Most High, and I'm going to show it to you. Okay. I'm not just saying this. I'm not making any accusations against us that's not warranted or valid. When you and I are trying to say that we're something that we're not, or we're trying to give him something that he hasn't asked for, we're trying to have him accept something that he's not going to accept. And that's a problem. Okay. There's things that the Most High is just not going to accept. Now, when you go through your Torah portions over the last few weeks, he's been showing us that I'm set apart. I'm set apart from everything. I'm set apart from the family, the tribes of Israel. This is the reason why he's using the tribe of Levi. I'm set apart from even within Levi's family. I chose a family out of that tribe. I'm set apart from all the Leviim. They can't come. If they do, I'll kill them. I don't want them to come next to me. I'm set apart. When a child is born, they have to do it this way. You have to be circumcised. I'm set apart. I require for the trees to go through a certain process, through their circumcision. I'm set apart. My name is set apart. So we're getting a little too comfortable with the Most High. We're thinking he's going to accept what we're doing, and he's not, because it's not okay. Aaron's family had a penalty that he says the Kohanim must observe the charge of mine. Otherwise, if they profane it, they will bear the consequences of their sin for doing so, and they're going to die. They're going to die in it. I'm Yahweh who makes them kadosh. I'm the one who makes them head up. I'm setting them apart, make them holy. So there's a consequence for them. And they are the ones who are close, the ones who have been set apart to do this service to the Most High. This is the reason why I say don't put your hands on anything that doesn't belong to you. It's like that's for that family. Here's also a penalty for them. He's telling them, like, remember, I'll kill you, right? You're going to die if you don't do it the way I'm telling. If you don't honor my set apartness. He said, you're to keep my commandments and obey them. I'm Yahweh. You're not to profane my kadosh name. That's what he's telling to them. He said, on the contrary, I'm to be regarded as Kodesh among the people of Israel. I am Yahweh who's making you Kodesh. Right? Do you remember he said to Moses and Aaron, you're not going into the land because you didn't set me apart in front among the people of Israel. You're not going into the land because you forgot this, that I'm set apart. You didn't sanctify my name. I'm going to be regarded to be sanctified. That's what Kodesh means, to be set apart. I'm Kodesh, but you guys are going to profane my set apart name. My character, I'm set apart. So if Yah is telling us that his character is set apart, then why are you and I are not setting him apart? That's where we're failing. That's where you and I got it wrong. Because we're thinking he's common. He's not common. He's not from here. So we can't live in our land of exile and try to make him common. And we are not going to minimize or water down his sanctity so we can feel better about ourselves. He said, I'm the one who's making you Kodesh. So let's not look at Hebrew words like Kodesh and all these other Hebrew words that we're using and just get comfortable with it and say, we can just say it. We know the word Kodesh, 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 Kodesh. Yeah, I'm Kodesh. Oh, yeah, you know what that is? That's set apart. Yeah. No, this has a lot of meaning. He says, I'm the one who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your Elohim. I'm Yahweh. I'm Yahweh. That's his signature. And up here he says, I'm Yahweh. Up here he says, and down here, I'm Yahweh. Those are the book casings to say, I put you on one end, I put on the other end to let you know what I'm about. Now, if you notice, the word Kodesh that he mentions in this in particular text is mentioned 3 times, which goes back to what the seraphim, the fiery ones, were saying, and they're saying it right now as we're speaking on Shabbat. They say this is all they do is say Kodesh, 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 Yahweh Zavaoth. This is Malo that fills all the earth. His glory fills the whole entire earth. This is all that's being said right now. You and I are not hearing it, but it's being spoken. Yah has given us insight to what they're saying. Okay, so this is the main point of everything, everybody. There's a penalty for anyone, including Aaron's descendants, anyone who forgets these things, that I'm Kodesh. And that his name is Kodesh. That's why he keeps saying, I'm Yahweh. I'm Yahweh. I'm the one who brought you out. So he brought us out so we can find out who he is. Now listen to me carefully. Yah's not giving us the Torah so we can find out who we are only. Yah has given us the Torah to show us who he is, to show us what you and I and our ancestors forgot and what they didn't remember and what they profaned. We have profaned. He said, you're profaning my name among the nations. We're profaning the sanctity of Yahweh's name. And that's something you and I should be concerned with. That's something that you and I need to be mindful about. Okay. So this is not, hey, let me, browbeat us. It's just to tell us the truth. That this is what we're forgetting, and this is what God's expectation is for us to come to know him and what happens to individuals that forget this. It's all going to come together. I'm going to put the pieces together. Okay. So there's some confusion too that we found in our Torah portion this week. Okay. There's a confusion around this idea of what they would call the Mikra Kodesh. Remember, it's all about being set apart as holy. That's what Kodesh means. He says that the people of Israel, this is what I want you to tell them, that there are designated times of Yahweh, they're his, which are to be proclaimed as Kodesh. Okay. So the Kodesh, and that's what the Mikra Kodesh means, are set apart or holy convocations at my designated times. So the designated times are his times. They're his. Okay. You see the word down here called Moadai. That is my designated times. The designated times within his word is Ad, and Ad is a witness. Okay. The Mo on this part right here means for you to proclaim. Okay. You are doing something actively, coming together as my witnesses, because Adi means my witnesses. So if it's his designated times, his appointments, you and I are coming at those times, right? And to say that these are Yahweh's times to be proclaimed as holy. The confusion is that you and I don't understand what a holy convocation is. Okay. So in all parts of our country right now, people are gathering and calling themselves saying that they're having a Mikra Kodesh. I'm not lying. They're saying it. Come on. They're saying they're having a holy convocations and they're telling you to be there. You need to come because it's a holy convocation. We're commanded, right? Let me show you the confusion. Okay. And let me show you the problem. Now, a lot of people do things out of ignorance because they don't know. And sometimes we just don't know because we don't know. But we don't know what we don't know until someone brings it to our attention. All right. So this is not to browbeat. This is not to discourage. This is not to discipline and chastise. I'm not doing any of those things. I'm clearly bringing out what the Most High has said in the proper context. The proper context is that a holy convocation is exactly what it says it is. It's a Mikra Kodesh. The Mikra right here, if I was to chop it up, this first one is who and then proclaims. Okay. Me means who, and Kara means proclaim. Who proclaims the set apartness, the Kodesh? So the designated times are for people who are supposed to proclaim the holiness of Yah. Okay. The problem and the confusion is we're thinking that he's telling you and I to proclaim this. No. Think about what the Most High said. He said that I'm going to go back to it. I've given my people a group of people who's supposed to teach you on to know what is Kodesh and what's not Kodesh. Remember, you and I can't determine what's Kodesh. Yah has chosen a family to tell us what Kodesh is. Yahweh has chosen a family to be included and responsible for you would call the holy convocations. And if you're not part of this family, you have no right to proclaim it because you don't understand what Kodosh means. You and I cannot attain Kodoshness or Kodashim while we're in a land of filth and not as long as you and I are under the curse of our covenant. Okay? That's the truth. Now, you want to get religious and you want to be emotional, then yeah, you'll make up some stuff to do. Okay? You'll do some stuff. Okay. And we're going to talk a little bit about that right now. And so here's some of the things that we've been told to do that, but we didn't understand who's supposed to be involved. Okay. I call it the appointed because it's only the Kohanim that are responsible for the Mikra Kodesh, which is the holy convocation. The ones who is to proclaim who, me, Kara. Whoever who's in charge of the Mikra, which is the Kohanim, they're the ones who are in charge of bringing the people together to teach them about the Shabbats, to teach them about Pesach, to teach them about Matzot, to teach them about Bikurim, which is first fruits, Shavuot, or Teruah, which is the trumpets, and Yom Kippur, and the Sukkot. Okay? Now, let me break it down. These are the appointed times. These are what they would call the Mikra, the times of proclaiming the set apartness and the holiness of Yah. The ones who are supposed to facilitate this are the Kohanim. Okay? I have a word here called Reach Nokoach. Okay? Reach Nokoach means a sweet smelling savor, meaning that when they have these times, the Reach Nokoach is attached to all of these times. All of them. That means that they're supposed to bring an offering to the Most High. They're supposed to bring wine to the Most High. They're supposed to bring lambs to the Most High. They're supposed to bring a certain amount of rams to the Most High. They're supposed to bring offerings to the Most High. They're supposed to be mixed flour mixed with oil to the Most High. They're supposed to do these things on every last one of these appointments. So are you and I keeping and doing what the Most High said? No. No. Then what are we doing, Akika? What are we doing by observing the Sabbath? Well, we're showing y'all our intention. What are we doing by preparing for it? You're showing y'all your intention. What are you doing when you are memorializing the Pesach? Because you're not making an offering to the Most High. What are you doing? Is it okay to do that? Yeah, because you're showing the Most High that you're listening to Him. Because He said you're going to return to listen to what I say or what I have said. You're going to find out what Yah says when you find out what He says. You're going to find out about first fruits. You're going to find out about Pesach, unleavened bread. You're going to find out when the Feast of Trumpets are. You're going to find out about Yom Kippur. You're going to find out Sukkot. You're going to find all these things out. But are you going to be able to do them the way that He asked them to be done? No, He won't. And the reason why we're not able to do that is because this family right here, the Kohanim, out of Aaron's sons, they're not in play. So you and I can't, we're supposed to look to them to tell us and how they are supposed to protect these days. Okay. That's what their job is. Now, I'm going to show you that by looking at the slide that I promised you that I would go back to. Okay. So I'm going to divert a little bit and I'm going to go back and I'll put up the slide that I want. And here it is. And I want us to look at it carefully. Not a whole bunch of passion today because it's not that I don't care, but I do. We have to understand something today. We have to understand. They are to teach my people the difference between Kodesh, which is holy, and Kol. That profane, that poking, that piercing, that penetrating is this word right here. That's the root of the word that you saw for the, he said, don't profane. Okay. So kol, they have here in English as common. But according to what Yah is saying, this word kol right here means profane. Just like a prostitute, just like a woman who's been profane in a sexual way through Leviticus 18, or has been taken advantage in some case. This is the woman who has been pierced. Okay. So when he's not talking about, I'm going to show you the difference between kodosh, meaning holy, and common, he's saying, I'm going to make a difference between kol, which is not common, which is profaned. They use common to sweeten it up a little bit so you and I won't be offended. So we say common versus holy. So you can see there's a difference between, okay? And I'm going to show you and try to explain to you what this word between means, which is this word bane right here. Okay. And they said to distinguish, which is this word bane. Between, again, bane is the word that's being used. Okay. So the Most High has made a clear distinction between set apartness and kol, meaning profanity. Get common out of there. Everything else is profaned. Okay. So let me explain you what the word bane means. Okay. So here it is up top. I'm going to write it out in Hebrew. So you know what I'm talking about. It's consistent of a bet. This letter right here is called a yod, and the final noon is right here. Okay. So, and I'll put it in English for you so you'll know what it looks like. I'll have to spell it in English, but it's the wrong direction. Bane is B-E-N. Okay. It would say Ben, but it's Bane. B-E-Y-N. Bane. That's how you would say it. Okay. Or how you would spell it. Bane. Okay. So this Bane right here, I'm going to show you. Let's use the Kadosh as a letter Q right here, and we'll put this on the east. And then we'll put the profane over here as a letter P right here. And I'll put it right there, okay? Bane is between these things. That's between Kadosh and profane, okay? So the east is the Kadosh, and the west is the profane. Yah is saying that there is a distance between Kadosh all the way to the other side of the west, like how the sun rises on one side of the earth and goes to the other side. He's saying that there's a distance, there's a clear distinguishment between these two spaces, okay, or these two things. Between them is a space, okay, and okay, and so what's going on, and distance is space, okay. So Yah said I put space between profanity and set apartness and kadosh. Okay. What we've done is we have said we don't want the space. We don't want that space. We're going to get rid of this. We're gonna say that Yah, whatever Yah has called profaned, we'll put kadosh right next to it, and then we'll say we're okay. Because we know what the Q is. We know what Kadosh is. So because we know it in a sense that we know we're set apart. And our idea, let me correct myself, the way that we see it as, oh, I know what Kadosh is. So because I know it, I can say because I know it, it's right here with me in my profanity and my profaneness. Because I know it. I haven't put and kept the proper distance and space between these two. I haven't said what Yah has set apart is set apart. The profanity cannot go beyond this place. Over in this space over here can never be merged or brought together or acclimated together. It can never come together. I got to keep a distance right there. I have to keep a space between what Yah has said versus what I think and believe and what I know. You know what I mean? So what he's done is he's used the Levites on this side, or let me be corrected. Come on, Akika, stay with me. He's using the Kohanim on this space to be the space holders to make sure that they keep the distance and they keep the people at a proper distance from the Most High. I hope you can follow me. So that's why they're the ones who's supposed to bring the offerings to the Most High. So the people are over here, and he's teaching the people that you cannot just approach the Most High. Okay, you can't just come over to the Most High and bring and say whatever you want. So the Most High has joined the family of the Levi family, the Kohanim, which Levi means to join. I'm going to join myself to the people through a tribe, and out of that tribe, I'm going to choose a family, and that family is Aharon's family. That family will be the ones that I'll use out of that family, a Kohanim, who will be able to approach unto my holiness. Not everybody is allowed to approach the Most High, even including the children of Israel. Do you understand? So what we've done is we have removed the bane. That's what you and I have done. We've removed the space. So when it talks about them distinguishing, we remove the space. This is the space that was used between the Kodesh and the Kol, the profanity. We're trying to merge these two ideas together. And Yah is saying, no, you cannot do that. Okay? Keep Yah at a far distance. You keep the profanity over here. And the space between us, let it stay there. Don't try to remove what you would say, according to the New Testament. It says that the Most High has removed the wall of partition that's between these two. They have and here. That's really a wall. So you're trying to join the holy with the profane because you said now we have access into Yah's tent. So where are you getting that at? Let me show you because I'm going to come back to this. I need more space to draw. Here, when they were to go into the tent of meeting, everyone, here's the tent. Okay. The door is right here, and you would be able, and the priest would go into that tent. Okay. This tent is set apart. All right. It's set apart. And the people who were able to come and do his service had to come to the altar and so forth and so on. There was a wall that was around the tabernacle, all the way around to keep the people at a distance so they can't come in. Okay. And inside of this tent, there was another wall of partition that we learned last week that the Most High said, you can't go past this wall, this curtain right here. You can't go past that. You can only go once a year. So what is going on in the New Testament is they said, let's get rid of the wall. Let's have access to the Most High. Let's remove this wall that's in here and let's get access so we, the people, can go in and we don't have to ask any questions. We have access. Do you guys understand what I'm saying to you? We still have access to this. Okay? We still have access. Put this over here. Okay? We could go right in to the tabernacle. We can go right in past this curtain right here. We can go right past here. We can go right past the Kohanim. We don't need him anymore. We go directly to the Most High. That's what they're saying. So they're profaning Yah. Okay? The Most High does not want us to remove the distance. We're his people, but he doesn't want us to remove the distance. And because we failed to do this before, the Most High put distance between us. So you and I would learn, not by the priest, you would learn when you come into the exile, you would start reading about Kadosh, you would start learning about what that means, and then you would learn, well, the actual meaning of the word, and you would learn what profane means. Then you would learn what this word Bane means. I'm not teaching you Kadosh because I can't. I know what it means, but it's a higher level. Okay? And then it says between. There's a distance between which is clean and unclean. Again, there's a wall of separation. There's a distance there. There's a wall of separation. That's what it means. Okay. That's at its fundamental meaning. Okay. And this was missing out of the word. It says, I put missing, and it says yada'um. The word yada'um means to know. So the whole purpose of Yah teaching us anything is so we can know the differences. So we would know the space. We would know that, hey, we're not in a clean place right now. We would know that the Kohanim are the ones who are supposed to do this. We would know that they're the ones supposed to teach us this. We would know that they're to teach my people, okay, the difference, to enable them, who, my people, to distinguish. They, the priests, are to be judges in controversies for who? For my people, okay? And they, who, the priests, are to render decisions in keeping with my rulings and at all my designated festivals, which is my Moedah, which I showed you what that was, which is Sabbaths, Pesach, Feast of Matzah, Shavuot, Bikurim, Yom Teruah, Day of Atonement, all of it. They're the ones. They're the ones, not anybody that wants to do it. Okay? They are to keep my Torah, my instructions, and my decrees. Those are his. And the theys there, or the priests, are to guard my Sabbaths, to make them ye kadashu, to consecrate my Sabbaths. Because they're the ones who have this special relationship, because they haven't been attached to anybody else except for the Most High Yah. That's what this is about. So, going back to what he said, these appointed times, these Mikra Kodesh, are only given by the Kohanim. Okay? So, Arkika, are you saying we don't supposed to keep the Sabbath? No, I'm not saying that. Are you saying you're not supposed to memorialize the Pesach, Matzah, Bikurim, Teruah? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying to you is what the Most High said, that the people who are responsible for keeping it holy are these people. So don't get confused, okay? They're the ones supposed to do the Re'ach Nakok and offer something to the Most High on all of these times. And it's not happening. So because it's not happening, then it's not a mikra, is it? It's not a proclaiming of the holiness of Yah, because the holiness of Yah cannot be proclaimed without these people, because that is their job. That's what they're supposed to do. Unless you and I want to take the place of the Kohanim and be like the New Testament. It says that all of us are priests. We're a holy nation of people that have been called. We're chosen. Want to do that? Or do we want to stick to what Yahweh said? We want to do what he said. Okay. By the way, they have in here the Feast of Fruits, first fruits. Here's a case in point. There's a group of people out right here that are, and more specifically, the Jewish people. They're counting what they call the Omer. Okay. You probably heard of it. I want to make mention of it since you guys heard of it. The Omer, O-M-E-R. Okay. In Hebrew, you spell the Omer like this. It's going to blow your mind. The Omer is spelled with an Aleph for the O, and then a Mem, and then a Resh, like we have in our word Omar. Oh, look at that. Same word, same letters. So if the Aleph right here, they just put a little O over here, and it's called an Omer. Okay. It's called an Omer. Okay. So the Omer is essentially like the word Omer. Okay. Now the Omer and then Amor, which is our Torah portion, are connected. How are they connected? Well, they're connected not only in their letters, but they're also connected in the idea. Okay. So there are people who are going around on first fruits and saying that they're counting the Omer. They said they had a command to count the Omer. And when they're counting it, and I'm not trying to badger these people, when they're counting it, they said they got to count it for 50 days. Okay. There's some discussion about how that's supposed to be counted and so forth. They're supposed to take this Omer and they're supposed to give it to the Kohanim. That's who they're supposed to give it to. And he's supposed to waive it. So let me ask you a question. If people are counting an Omer and they're not in the land and they don't have the first fruit of that land, they're just counting it arbitrarily while they're in the lands of their enemies, does that count? Is that count going to be accepted? Well, y'all will accept the Omer from the person who, from an individual who's not a Kohanim.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. You got it correct. Absolutely. Y'all's not looking for us to be Kohanim and for us to find a way to sanctify the Sabbath days. He's just looking at our intent. He's looking at whether or not you're not going to listen to what he said. Listening to what he said doesn't mean you try to replicate what he said and think he's going to accept it. You're not here to keep the Sabbath so Yah will accept it. Because Yah tells us that when you're in the lands of your enemies, don't think that I'm coming to get you and I'll show it to you. Don't think that I'm coming to back and get you because you have done anything, house of Israel, for any good that you have done. That includes your Day of Atonement. That includes your setting up a tent. That includes your meal prep for Shabbat. That includes your Pesach. That includes your unleavened bread. When you took that unleavened bread out of your house, you didn't do it the way that I said it. You did it because you want to show me that you're listening to me. Yes, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I just want to ask one question. According to what you're saying, it takes a Kohen to proclaim the Moadi. And does that mean that in the cities and the villages and in the provinces, we had to have a Kohen, period, in order to correctly do it?
Yes,
I just want to make sure.
No, that's 100 spot on, Dawid. That's exactly what it was. Remember, he said when you guys do your cities, because they don't have an inheritance, you need to set apart some cities for them. In each one of your territories, they need to have cities. They're the ones who're supposed to go collect the tithes and offerings. They're the ones who are supposed to go get to teach the people, or if there was Zazarat or whatever, they would do what they needed to do, right? So they lived among the people, okay? They served the Most High in the tabernacle. They would have different times when they would go and do their service. They're on a schedule, okay? So you're 100% correct. God's letting us know that don't try to get me to accept what you're doing when you don't understand the clear separation, that you're making a distinguishment of what is kadosh and what's not. That's where our problem is. Our problem is that we're coming up with the idea of what is kadosh. We're not Kohanim. You cannot do that. We're not in our land. You understand? So this is where the waters get muddy, and this is where the confusion comes in, and this is where the burden comes in. Like, for example, people are saying, if you go to a funeral, I don't go to funerals because I'll become unclean. What? Well, how are you going to get unclean? The person that did go to the funeral, you turn around and after they went to the funeral, they came and you saw them, you hugged them. They were unclean. See, so it's a game. Don't come to the tabernacle. You're on your menstrual cycle. Well, how are you going to purify this place? Why are you acting like this is the temple? Why are you acting like I'm not exposed, like I'm not profane where I'm at? Not that we should encourage profanity and so forth and so on, but just understanding what it is. Don't play a religious game and stop putting people in positions where they feel terrible. Like if you can't keep the Day of Atonement, Most High said, if you're not able to do this day according to what was written, he said, I'm going to cut that person off if they don't fast on the day. And I'll give you an example of that. I put it out because I thought, well, maybe we should talk about it so we can help people get out of, bondage. I mean, we're already in exile. Why we got to keep putting people in more bondage? I got to speed up a little bit because I've been talking a lot, but there's more confusion. Confusion is about our dwelling places. Where he said you're not to eat any bread, dry grain, or fresh grain until the day that you bring the offering, for your Elohim. This is a permanent regulation. We read that and say it's a permanent regulation. But you forget the part of bringing, which is an action of an offering to the Most High. That's talking about the Omer. Are the people doing this? Are they bringing this offering to the Elohim, to your Elohim? How are you bringing it to your Elohim? You're bringing it to Elohim's, the one who's serving the Most High, which is the Kohanim. You and I are not doing that. Does it mean that it's not a permanent regulation? No, it just means that right now there's the individuals that are responsible for this are not there to do it. It doesn't change the fact that it's permanent. It is permanent, but it's not permanent in a sense for you who don't have it. You can't perform something that you don't have. Your dwelling, all your dwellings, he keeps saying, you're going to do this wherever you live, no matter where you live. We took that and said, it doesn't matter if you live in Oakland. It doesn't matter if you live in Texas. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter, no matter where you live. Well, that's not the proper context. That is not the proper context. It said it is a permanent regulation throughout all your generations, no matter where you live. So people who read this in English go, no matter where you live. The live is all your dwellings. Okay? Your mashovotekim right here. Those are your dwellings. Okay? In all of your dwelling places, in all of your generations. Forever, olam, kukat olam. We're the people of olam. So, oh yeah, we could do it. We're olam people. We could do it in our dwellings. Not the dwellings of your enemies. Not the dwellings of the lands that are profaned. The dwellings where it can be brought. The dwellings where the Kohanim are. The dwellings where Yahweh is. The dwellings. So where Yah dwells, not where you dwell, needs to be where Yahweh dwells in order for you to do exactly what Yahweh said. Your dwellings is not in the lands of your enemies, because these are not so-called your dwellings. This is the place where you're enslaved. You're a servant here. Where we get mixed up is taking everything out of proper context. The proper context is ki tavo u el haaretz asher ani notain lakem. Tell me what that means, Akika. For when you go to the land which I am giving to you. When Yah tells them this is a permanent regulation no matter where you live, he's talking about in the El Ha'eretz that I'm giving to you. When he told us this morning, or Moshe, go speak to and more to the HaKohanim. He's talking to El HaKohanim. He's talking to El Ha'eretz. He's talking El B'nai Yisrael. Go to Bar, speak to them. We have to keep everything in its proper context. So when you're trying to understand the Sabbath and you're trying to understand all the things that he mentions, he's talking from the framework of when you're going to your land, when I bring you into the land. When you go to the land which I am giving to you, plural. Plural. I'm talking to you, plural, all of you. Talking who? The nation of Israel. The sons of Israel, B'nai Yisrael, the daughters of Israel, they're included. Okay, so let me help free us today. Anyone who does not deny himself on that day is to be cut off from his people. So individuals who, and this is more in context talking about the Day of Atonement. Anyone who does any kind of work on the day, I will destroy from among his people. So what are you saying, Yah? Yah said, if you don't deny himself on the day, I'm going to cut you off from his people. If you do any kind of work on that day, on the Day of Atonement, I'm going to destroy you from among his people. I'm going to destroy anybody who does this. So when we come into the world, into the place that we live, and you are forced to go to work, and you're forced to where you're on some medication and you have to eat or whatever, and you start, tripping, like, I can't do this. I'm going to get cut off. I'm going to get cut off from the Most High. He's going to destroy me because I had to work on that day. I didn't have any choice, y'all. I didn't have a choice. If I don't work, can't feed my family. You are not to do any kind of work. It is a permanent regulation throughout all your generations, no matter where you live. Really? Yeah, where you live in the land. Yah's laws is for his land, for his people that are in that land. You and I are exiled out of the land because we didn't listen to what he said. And because we didn't listen, he put us into the land of our enemies who he did not give a Torah to. He then tells us when you're in the land of your enemies, you'll start thinking about what I have said. Then you're going to turn back and you're going to listen to what I said. Do you not know that it's the best and easiest thing that you and I can ever do? Is just listen to what he said. So let's not take what he said and take it out of its proper context and try to apply it to put people in a guilt trip. Try to apply it like these people are the Kohanim. Try to apply it like this is the temple of the Most High. This is his name is here. All this kind of jazz. See? So things are taken out of its proper context. We get a lot of confusion from that. I'm close to finishing, but I want to tell you that Ein Kelohenu. I want you to write this down. I want you to write Ein Kelohenu, and I'm going to tell you what it means. Just one little sentence. Ein Kelohenu. Sounds beautiful, doesn't it? Ein means there is not. There is not. There does not exist any, okay? It's from this letter right here. Remember our word Bain? This is Ein. Ein Kelohenu. Ein means there is not. This letter means to see, okay? There is none that you can see. There is no other Elohim. K means here is like, and then Elohe, new, is our Elohim. This means like, Like. There's no one like our Elohim. Why is this important to know? Because when we talk about Kadosh, when we talk about Kol, or to be profaned, the Most High has put a distance there for us to recognize it and to show us that there is no one like him. And he's not going to accept anything outside of Kadosh. He's not going to accept anything that has a defect. He's not going to accept anybody whose eyes are running. He's not going to accept anybody that got a finger that's broken. He's never going to accept it. He's not going to accept what humanity will accept. He's not going to accept any rebellion. There's no one like him. There's no one who's ever made the heavens and the earth and they follow his command. There is no one like him. There's no one as righteous. No one is just like him. No one. Ein Kelohenu. Okay? So Yah wants us to make a separation between him and everyone else. Everyone and everything. That's what you and I have to do. There's a separation. Everyone and everything else is profaned. And the reason why when they were living among the Most High, they had to maintain purity is because they were living among him. And he chose to live among his people. But there has to be a separation. And you're not going to allow anything to penetrate this veil that separates us from the Most High, like you learned last week. Don't take away this veil that enshrouds his holiness. Keep Yahweh separate from everything and everyone. That's what you and I's job is. Okay, we're going to see in our last segment of our teaching today that an individual made the mistake of not doing that. He actually starts speaking against the Most High. He blasphemed the Most High. Okay, Amor Kalel. There was a word, because Amor means to say. And what did he say? He says something. Okay, Amor means to say, and then Kalel goes to this word right here, Kalal or Kalel. Okay, he says, the foreigner as well as the citizen is to be put to death if he blasphemes the name of Yahweh. Okay, the name. This is what Yah says. Okay, there was a young man who did this. Okay, and he, our word for nakav, remember our word nakav, meaning to puncture or put a hole, blaspheme, the son of a woman, a Haisha. It was a bane of Haisha. Okay, the bane is a son. I know it sounds like bane between, but it's bane. It's a son. Same word. Okay, so same root. This woman is called a Yisraelite. That's what she's called, a high race Yisraelite. Okay, he was a son of this high Yisrael. His father was a Mitzri, was an Egyptian. Okay, and what he did was he blasphemed, but it doesn't tell you how he blasphemed. Okay, it just says he did it. Okay, he blasphemed the name. So the question is how did he do it? It shows you what he did blaspheme, which is the et. The et right here is an arrow pointing directly to what he did, and it says the name Hashem. So the Hashem, which is the name, he blasphemed. Okay, but how did he do it? I found out how he did because I asked a question and looked at the language, and this is what he did. By qualil. That qualil right there, the first two letters of this word means that he spoke. He used a voice. Okay. Kalal means to curse. That's what kalal means. Okay. The first two letters is called kol or kol. That means voice in Hebrew. Okay. So how he did this is he used his voice. He said something that was kalel. Okay. He spoke it. Okay. And he spoke a curse. Okay. So what curse did he use? And the answer to that is found in the word kalel. The Most High, the first time that I saw this word, it was talking about how of a child should never disrespect their father and their mother. And the word used there is curse. If you curse your mother and father, he says you'll be put to death. So I thought, like I did in English, that curse means that you used a curse word. But it's not really just a word, it's an action. Okay. So when these two people were arguing and fighting, they got into a fight. And when they got into this fight, Yahweh's name was mentioned. Okay. The one who mentioned the name was another Israel person. Man, they mentioned Yah's name. Okay. And they were having a discussion about Yah. Okay. When they had this discussion about Yah, the son of this high Yisraelite, this Israel woman, turned around and spoke lightly of Yahweh's name. To curse is to speak lightly or have no value, to treat like it means absolutely nothing. So they were having a discussion, and the guy said, I don't give a such and such about what you're talking about. You know, in our vernacular, they F that. I don't give a, blank, blank, blank. They used his name. That's what this son did of this woman. Okay. So his cursing is his speech, but also what was meant behind it. He didn't he didn't hold Yah's name in esteem. And that's the problem. And because of this, he did not make a separation between himself and his argument and his situation and Elohim. He did not make a distinction. He didn't make a separation between the Most High. He didn't keep, which is kadosh, separate from profanity. That is blasphemy. That's poking a hole in Yah like a prostitute or like someone who's been profaned or someone involved in unnatural sexual acts. Because he uses this word, as I told you, to represent those acts or someone who's been sent away because of a certain behavior. So that's what we need to understand. The blasphemy of Yahweh's name is not only what we say, but it's how we live and how we see Yah's name. He told us in our covenant that never shall you ever lift up the Yahweh's name for emptiness. Whoever does such a thing, Yahweh will not hold them innocent. Okay? So everything that has to do with his name. Okay? So there's a whole bunch of different ideas that can go. This is very scary. You can have a conversation with someone simply talking about the Torah. And they can get you all riled up and so forth and so on. And even by Yah's name being involved in that is a problem. Yah should never be brought in any type of conversation outside of holiness. Meaning, like, I regard it so highly, it's so valuable. It's the most valuable thing on the face of this earth and beyond this earth. He has fiery beings that are crying out to his name all in eternity. Not all day, not all night, all eternity. That's what they were made for. So he keeps telling us that my name is to be set apart. I am Kadosh. I'm the one who sanctifies you. Okay, when they were in your land. So for us, all this has been given to us in this Torah portion to be careful about what we say and to listen to what he has said. So let's not try to go and turn and change, which is to penetrate his holiness by saying, I'm going to do it this way and you're going to accept it. That's not going to happen. You understand? So we're not going to do that. We're going to keep those set apart times the way the Most High has asked us to memorialize them, but you're not going to say that you're doing it the way that he said. You're going to show them you have good intention. You're going to show them that you're putting forth some effort, but you're not going to say that you can accept this without a Reach Nakoach, meaning a fire offer made by fire, a sweet smelling savor that's made to him. You and I are not going to say that we are going to replace the priest because they're no longer around. So they're out of commission. So we take it in our own hands and we become priests ourselves and we do it the way that he's asked them to do it. We're just doing it better because we have more knowledge. No, you're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. We're going to leave his words where they are. We're not going to change it. We're not going to change its original meaning. We're not going to go in and molest what he said. Okay? We're not going to penetrate and poke a hole in what he said. We're not going to tear the curtain down so we can get closer to the Most High. We're not going to step in the Holy of Holies in our mind and think that we don't need to go through the process of cleansing so we can be closer to the Most High. What we're going to do is we're going to accept our punishment. We're going to accept what he said. And we're not going to try to get him to accept anything that's from our hands because we're unclean. We're unclean. Can you make a prayer while you're in your uncleanness? Yeah, you can make a prayer. That's different. You're not making, some offering. You're not putting up some altar. You're not burning incense to the Most High. You're not crossing the lines like that. You're not making any offerings. So you might as well go kill a man. You're not putting flour together and mixing it with oil or trying to recreate the anointing. You're not doing that. You're accepting your punishment. You're accepting what he said. And we're going to leave it and we're going to show Yah that we're humble enough to sit back and just accept what he said. And yes, why did he tell us? Why did he say this to us? He's saying it to us so we can get to know who he is. That's the awareness that we need to have. So the Torah wasn't written for this to be all the children of Israel on a regular basis. They did it every 7 years. For us, you and I, we get to read it. Not every 7 years, we get to read it every week. And it says, man shall not live on every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High. That's what you and I are supposed to live off of. What did he say? Let it just be, you guys. Don't try to change it. Don't try to get extra close to him by doing something outside of what he said. Because when you and I do anything outside what he said, then he says, then that's a rebel. You're a rebel. That's what it is. You keep rebelling against what Most High said. So let's stop our rebellion as a people. You know, he knows we're in exile. He knows we can't do it. He knows that the Sabbath today is not the Sabbath that he wanted. It's not it. And we said, well, it's the Sabbath, and he'll accept it. Yah's not accepting what we're the Sabbaths. He's not accepting the Pesachs. What he's accepting is the change of heart that you and I have, the change of mind. So it's deeper. You having respect for what he said. Just like the gardener that I had to fire yesterday, that he got his job back. Why? Because I had an expectation, but he wanted me to accept his foolishness, and I didn't accept it. I want what I want because that's what I said. That was the agreement. The Most High is on a whole nother level. You and I are not going to give him what you and I want to give him. We're going to give him what he asked for. Here's your Torah portion for next week. Here's the prophets. Here's the writings. Just remember, Yah is revealing to us, okay, the understanding. Because one thing I did fail to tell you, which is in this word, and I need to say it because I forgot. It just came to me. This word right here, gain, means to understand. Yeah, I was saying I need you to understand the space. And you know, you don't have any question now. You know that when I say this is Kadosh over here, you're beginning to understand the difference between profane and Kadosh. Now, you don't completely understand Kadosh, but you know there's a space. Understand it. Just understand this. You and I can't understand Kadosh because we don't know, because the priests have to teach it to us. But because that's their job, that's what they are supposed to teach my people. But what we can understand, listen to me carefully, because this word bane means understand. We can understand that there is a space between these two places, these two things. There's a space there. There's a chasm between them, and they're far apart. So he wants us to understand this, the space. If you can understand the space, you're straight. If you understand the space, you understand you're making a distinction between these two. There's a space between them. And we have to make sure we maintain that space. You may not understand the kadoshness because we haven't been taught properly, but you do understand that there is a space between kadosh and profane. Because you and I definitely know what profane is. The nations have taught us, just like the Kohanim is supposed to teach us kadosh, the nations are the one who's teaching us profanity. So we are very, up on game and wise to profanity and what's unclean. We're very hip on that. Okay, we've been initiated into that, but we need to make sure that we understand the space. That's the distinguishment. It's the space. Okay, that's what we need to understand. We can understand there's some space there. And they're very far apart. So that word bane right there also has to do with understanding. That is your Torah portion for this last week. Anyone have any questions, contributions, statements?
I just got, I don't know so much as a question, but and so Kadoshim, set apart, uh, you know, always, was sanctified. Is that was
Yeah.
the Kadoshim? Is
Yep. Uh-huh.
okay? It seems to me that the I think it's somewhere in the Greek Christian book where they use this character as was Jesus to be the I guess wall breaker or
Yeah.
taking, yeah, it's like, the Kohen were there, and
Uh-huh.
then they replaced the Kohen to let us know what was Kadosh and Kodishim,
Yep.
and now he's supposed to be the priest or the or whatever. At least that's what I think I recall reading.
Yeah. Yeah. Spot on. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So what they were going to do, and they have done, is try to tear down the wall or the wall of partition that separated us from the Creator. So the curtain, he said, the veil torn. So they're tearing down the veil. So you'll have access to God now, and you have access to holiness, and you have access to everything. So everything's open now. Everything is all fair game. So that's not what the Most High's intention is. That's not his intent. His intent is never for us to come close to him like that. Period. And so we've been sold the idea that we can come near to him under the pretext of saying that he wants to join us because he loves us. So if I love you, I'll welcome you in, and you're close to me now. You're my children. So now there is no separation. Now you're holy because you believe that I gave my son to die for you, when clearly the Most High has said in his law that no man can ever die. Father can't die for the sins of his father. I mean, his sins of his son, or his son for his father. Whoever sins against the Most High is the one who's going to die. You see? So, and Yah doesn't want them to die, but that's what they chose.
Yeah, it makes me understand better how um Kadosh Yahweh is and how Kadosh his name is.
Mhm.
Toda Akika.
Yeah, yeah, in Bedma. Hallelujah. That's exactly what the whole lesson's about. That's why he said, more, speak to them, tell them, say to them, because again, I'm the one who makes you Kadosh. I'm the one. And then the connection is you guys are the one who's in charge of all these other things. So let's make sure we keep that space, because he wants us to know this. So you can know that you're not in the Kodashim. You can know that you're not set apart right now. You know that you're profaned. Then you would know that you broke his laws. You would know that you didn't, the Kohanim had failed. You would know the destruction of the family. You would understand these things. It would become clear to you. And that our families have never honored that set apartness. They never kept that space. If you look into some of the other writings with the Most High, he said, I'm going to remove from the house of Israel all your abominations, because what they were doing is they were taking the dead bodies of their kings and they were burying them on the site of the temple. They forgot to make the distinction. They didn't keep him separate. That's the problem. So that's our problem. Do you see? So he's trying to get us to understand that. And our people, for whatever reason, they don't, it's our hard-heartedness, and it's our stiff-neckedness, and it's our rebellion that's in us that's causing us to say we're going to do what we want to do, and on our terms. We're going to serve you the way that we want to, not the way that you say, the way that we want to. See? And that's the problem, because we have to find a way to fall in alignment to what he has said. And right now, you and I can fall in alignment with what he said by not going against what he said. Told the children of Israel, don't go up now. They didn't want to go to land. He said, okay, don't go up. Turn back around. What did they do? No, we're going to go up. even though he just told them not to. We have to do what he says. Obedience is better than sacrifice, period. So I know a lot of congregations are going to get mad because I'm tearing down their idea that they're a priesthood. I'm tearing down their idea that the Most High's name is there. I'm tearing down the idea that we're not sanctified. I'm tearing down the idea that you and I don't have anything that's acceptable to the Most High. I don't care where your little heart is and how much love you and how many songs you sing. We're not where we're supposed to be. He says, I'm not coming to get you for any good that you have done. He told us to be ashamed of your actions and your behavior, O house of Israel. Why would he say that if he's pleased with us? He's not pleased with us. So stop it. He's not pleased. Not with us as a people. No. That's why he has to cleanse us. That's why he has to wash us. That's how he has to give us a new mind and give us a new heart. That's why he has to circumcise our hearts. That's why he has to show us how to love him properly. That's all his doing. That has nothing to do with anything you and I are doing. So let's don't play any religious games with him. Because if you're not wholehearted, you're not going into the land. Wholeheartedness means that you accept what he said and say, that's what it is. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I don't have an offering. That should break your heart. Today's the Shabbat. We don't have an offering. It should break our heart that we don't have the Kohanim to go in and do and perform the services to the Most High. It should break our heart that we don't have a tabernacle to go to, a temple that we did have, that we didn't appreciate. It should break our heart that we weren't humble enough to just take everything he gave us and show him some gratitude. It should break our heart that we don't have our families together where we all gather every 7 years to hear the Torah. Ain't nobody crying about that. You know what you got people out here doing? They're counting the Omer, and they don't even live in the land. So what Omer are they counting? What is the priest? What are they giving to the priest to wave before Yahweh? See, I'm about to get upset. What are we doing?